Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Doctor's In with me, Roland Warren, President and CEO of CareNet, and Dr. Bill Lile. Dr. Bill, how are you doing, sir?
My brother, I am doing great, and I cannot wait to discuss this study that came out on April 28th.
Yeah, no, it really is something. I mean, those who've been tracking what's happening with the abortion industry and what's been happening with surgical versus medical abortions should be very, very interested in this. And the report that you're talking about is a study that was done by the Ethic and Public Policy Center. They did an analysis of commercial insurance data of over 860,000 women who were prescribed the abortion pill between 2017 and 2023. So this is recent data, and they found over 94,000 of those women suffered a serious adverse effect as a result of taking that pill. And that's significantly more than what the drug company had told us related to this kind of procedure, correct?
Correct. In fact, we were told the complication rate would be expected to be less than 0.5%, and the actual data on a study that was 28 times as large as the original study. This study showed that it is 10.93% had a severe adverse reaction, which is not 22% higher, it is 22 times higher. It would be like if I was in the
Wow.
airport and I saw Snickers bars on sale for $1, and I decided, yeah, let me get a Snickers bar, and I go to ring it up, and it came up $1.22. Am I going to still get a Snickers bar that's 22% higher than what I had
Right.
thought? Sure, I'd still get the Snickers bar. But if I swipe the Snickers bar on the QR code and it comes up as $22, I'm not getting that
Wow.
Snickers bar, and you're not getting that Snickers bar. So the truth is that women are 22 times more likely to have a severe adverse event. And there are five different grades when it comes to an adverse reaction. There is grade one, which is mild reaction. There is grade two, which is a moderate reaction. They only included grades three and four, which is severe or life-threatening. Grade five is actually when
Wow.
somebody dies, and there will be another study that'll be coming out soon regarding the maternal deaths as a direct result of the abortion pill.
Well, that's just it's mind blowing. It really is. Now, what do you think that this is attributed to? Because I've got some theories on this, just in terms as a kind of a layperson, not a medical person, but as you know, during the COVID period, the Biden administration basically took away all these constraints around the use of the abortion pill, right? In terms of seeing a physician, can you talk a little bit about like what happened during that period of time, and maybe to some degree that's contributing to some of this? What's your thoughts on that?
When the abortion pill was originally approved, it was only approved for up to 7 weeks gestation. It had to be dispensed by a physician. You had to have 3 visits with a physician, and that physician needed to be able to handle complications like retained products infection, had to be able to do a DNC. So it was very tightly regulated. Then during COVID, the world changed. I mean, the scientists lost their ever-loving minds, and safety was put on the back burner. They just wanted to get more abortions. Now it's indicated for up to 10 weeks gestation. In a lot of states, it's available mail order, but it's also coming from outside of the country. It's coming in from China, and it's coming in from India, and it's coming in from Mexico, where before we had a lot of observation and supervision of the use of the abortion pill. Then it became a free for all. All of a sudden, it is available all over the place. We know at least 63% of all the reported abortions in the United States are from the abortion pill. But we also know there are a lot of organizations which are providing it mail order. Women don't even know how far along they are. And statistically, 1% of
Yeah.
all pregnancies will be an ectopic pregnancy. And it is still the number one pregnancy related cause of death of women in the first trimester of pregnancy. They actually noticed in this study, which was 28 times larger than the original study, they noticed 3,000 cases of ectopic or tubal pregnancy. This is a dangerous medication. It's up there as dangerous as Coumadin. Coumadin has about the same number of severe adverse reactions. And Coumadin is a blood thinner. There are tests that you can go and get the blood test done. You can even have testing done at home. It is tightly regulated because too much medication and you can bleed to death. Not enough medication and you can have a blood clot. And even your diet will affect how much of the Coumadin is absorbed into your system. So if you happen to have collard greens and spinach, it will change the amount of medicine that is available in your body. This is as dangerous as Coumadin when it comes to severe adverse reactions.
Well, that is just, it's just, my mind is just absolutely blown. And it really unfortunately shows just how uncaring, the abortion industry is about women. I mean, for a movement, if you will, in an industry that says that it cares about women, I mean, this kind of thing is just kind of ridiculous. And over the years, you and I have kind of talked about these issues with the ectopic pregnancies and things of that nature. And, no longer a requirement even for you to have an ultrasound, if you will. So we've got young people getting these pills, teenagers getting these pills. I mean, there aren't very many restrictions across the country for these. And even in states where abortion is banned or restricted in some way, shape, or form, because we're not really enforcing the Comstock Act, which is stopping abortifacients from going across state lines, we really aren't stopping this at all. So this is really a very, very a challenging situation, even more than what's been reported in terms of that. So from the medical community's perspective, I mean, what are you seeing? Are you seeing, as a result of this report, other than pro-life doctors, are you seeing OBGYNs saying, hey, we need to pause on this? I mean, what are you seeing any reaction, or is there still kind of like head in the sand and we got to move forward with this?
Physicians, I mean, they went through medical school. They are obviously capable of looking at a medical trial and they're capable of understanding statistics. This is 22 times greater severe adverse reaction. Any physician that cares about the health of their moms, the health of these patients, has got to sit back and they are thinking, this might be as safe and effective as we were led to believe, just like we are now understanding the risks of different vaccinations that we're giving to kids. We're starting to rethink that. We have our pediatricians, which are saying, well, let's only introduce one food at a time. But in the same breath, they'll talk about giving your child 8 vaccinations at one time. So one food group at a time, but we're going to give my kid 8 vaccinations. It's not that we know that they're dangerous, but we need to sit back and say, what's going on here? The exact same is
Mm.
true with the abortion pill. It is available mail order. It is available without a prescription in some areas. When you do order it online, women are getting hurt, and that is going to even prove it more when we see how many women's lives have directly been taken as a direct result of complications from the abortion pill. The numbers are staggering with this study. I mean, 40,000 women had to go to the ER. 28,000 women had severe hemorrhage. You had 24,000 of these women who had to go and have an additional surgery, like a DNC for retained placentas and retained dead babies. And also, there was infection or sepsis in over 12,000 women, plus the 3,000 cases of ectopic pregnancy. This is dangerous. The evidence proves it is dangerous. And at the very least, what the government should do is go back to the original restrictions. That's how we save lives.
Well, I'm with you 1,000%. And one of the points that I've been making quite a bit is that as bad as this study is, and as bad as the data is, and as harmful as the abortion pill is for women, the main reason that we should be against the abortion pill is not that it harms women, but that it actually kills babies. And that's an important point to make, because I think that one of the things that we can't lose sight of is that we're going to use this data, communicate that, but we can't just say, listen, since it's hurting women so much, we need to restrict it. There's a broader issue here. There's another human life that's at play here. And one of the points I've made to some folks recently about this particular point is that we're not trying to just get a better abortion pill. One of
No.
the illustrations I use often is that during in 1941, when the Nazis came through Eastern Europe and they started taking all the Jews out of communities, and they dug these enormous ditches, and they would take these men, women, children, mothers holding children, pregnant women. They didn't care. And they stood them in front of the ditch and they shot them and they just pushed them in and they pushed them in. Well, they changed that strategy. And the reason they changed that strategy is that one of the generals who was responsible for the troops then said that shooting these innocent people was having a psychological impact on the soldiers, a very negative impact. And he went to Himmler and said, listen, this isn't a good strategy because these soldiers, we need them for battle, and they're just emotionally kind of messed up as a result of killing the vulnerable. And in Himmler, rather than saying, well, you know what, maybe we should stop killing the vulnerable, he said, no, we actually need to come up with a better solution, a final solution. And that's how we got the death camps. So it's very important as we kind of talk about this issue that we use this data to say, yes, it's important in terms of what's happening to women. That's important, but never lose sight of the fact that it's actually killing a child. We're not looking for, if you will, a better final solution. We're looking for a different solution. And we have a solution in terms of God's design and what he's called us to and what we talk about, you and I both, in terms of pro-abundant life and what you're doing out there as well. At the end of the day, women are hurt, but children are killed. And we should never, ever lose sight of that. Wouldn't you agree, Bill?
Absolutely. I mean, these are my patients in the womb. I have my first grandbaby that is on the way. The baby is now 14 weeks and 4 days right now. My daughter, just 20
Congratulations.
minutes ago, thank you. My daughter sent me an ultrasound. She sends an ultrasound to us every week because she's an ultrasound tech in Mayo Clinic, so she has access to ultrasound. But I got to see my first grandbaby moving around on the inside at 14 weeks. We're created in the image of God at the moment of conception, and abortion is an attack on that image of God. In Genesis 1:26, God said, after he created all the universe, the billions of galaxies, the billions of stars in each galaxy, in Genesis 1:26, he said, let us make man in our image. So we're created in the image of God, which represents God. Abortion is an attack on that image of God. You mentioned World War II. I just did a video 2 weeks ago. When you look at chemical companies, Satan uses the same tools which have worked for him for thousands of years. He used
Yeah.
sexual temptation, sexual impropriety. If it worked for David when he was the king of Israel with Bathsheba down there, and it really harmed his effectiveness where he had Moriah killed, he's going to use the same thing for our pastors and for our politicians. Well, when it came to World War II, there was a chemical company which produced a medication, a chemical called Zyklon B. The same chemical company also made mustard gas and other ways of killing mass numbers of people. Well, Zyklon B was the chemical that was used in the concentration camps in the gas chamber. Zyklon B would be poured into these quote unquote showers of death, and Zyklon B would then release cyanide gas and kill these people where they didn't have to be shot by the individuals. They would actually be killed by a gas. Well, after World War II, the investigation showed that the company was actually producing this by the millions. And they wanted to break this company up into dozens of different components where they could each be studied and monitored. They were only able to divide it up into three sections: Host and Bear, and one more company. Well, if you look through Host is actually the company that also owns the same company that produces the abortion
Yeah.
pill. So Satan
Isn't that
wanted
something?
to destroy and kill the Jews, the chosen people, the children of God who were loved by God. And that same company is now being used by Satan to destroy the image of God in the womb. And this is a real key. It's not just the mom's health that is being jeopardized, but the image of God is being attacked. And there are other ways that they are compromising women's health. It used to always be the standard of care when a woman had a miscarriage, or she had to have an ectopic pregnancy taken care of, that if her blood type was Rh negative, she received a shot of Rogam. Rogam, because moms and babies can have different blood types, Rogam is a shot that will prevent moms from developing antibodies which can attack a future pregnancy and a future baby. It was the standard of care, to find out what the mom's blood type was when she was in the emergency room or when she was in the office. And if it was Rh negative, give her a shot of Rogam. And they even had the number of hours that you had to give them that shot of Rogam to prevent future harm. But now that the abortion pill is available, mail order, and it's even given out at the college student health organizations when they have a positive pregnancy test. But now the directors are saying, well, the chance of being Rh sensitized, developing antibodies, is low. If you know the mom happens to be Rh negative, you can give her a shot. But if it's mail order or you just don't know, don't worry about it. I'm not into it's a low risk. I want to eliminate and
Yeah.
absolutely do everything we can to minimize risk. So the goal of the abortion industry, they're looking beyond ectopic pregnancies, looking beyond complications, looking beyond infection and sepsis, and even giving Rogam. They are just looking beyond that, and they just
Yeah.
want to kill the baby in the womb. And that is their primary goal. Women's health is secondary, which is why we need to at least start by changing the direction of this super tanker of evil. Change the direction, add the restrictions, which would be perfectly reasonable,
Yeah.
and then continue in the direction change to eliminate abortion. And that's not just going to be something legislative. We need to
Yep.
convince the public and the physicians and moms and dads that this is a person, one of my patients, that we can give blood transfusions to. We can do open heart surgery where the baby actually has its own IV and anesthesiologist, brain surgery, spina bifida corrective surgery, laser vascular surgeries. There's something new every single month that we can use, that we can actually not just improve the quality of life of these babies for the rest of their lives, but we can actually cure these babies. And if they are a patient, they are a person, and they need to be protected, and that is from the moment of conception.
Amen, amen. Well said. So folks, you see how important this is, and candidly, we've got some upstream stuff to do. I mean, I just noticed that yesterday, I believe it was, or earlier today, that the Trump administration has said it's going to kind of move forward with the abortion pill, pretty much in the same vein that the Biden administration has. And unfortunately, when you look at the Republican platform, it took out certain significant things like the fundamental right of a child in the womb to life and support for the Human Life Amendment. That's no longer part of the platform, and the only abortions that are specifically named and specifically called to be restricted are late term, which are essentially after 20 weeks, which is about 1% of abortions. So we've got a lot of work to do, and that's why I know you feel the same way, that the church must lead on this issue. And I've been saying frequently that we have to exchange the podium for the pulpit leading on this issue, because the pulpit is supposed to have the perspective that these children are creating the image of God, and that the circumstances of a child's conception and birth should not determine its humanity and worth. That perspective is one that's carried by the pulpit. That's straight from God, from His Word, as you quoted in Genesis. And the podium, as you know, is flexible, changeable, all that kind of stuff. And so we really have to be leading on this. So Bill, Dr. Bill, thanks so much again for just the work that you're doing across the country. We want to support you in any way that we can and get this message out. And so, folks, these episodes of The Doctors In are ways that you can educate yourself. I encourage you to share this information with people in your group, even not just pro-life folks, but also pro-choice folks, because this is the science of what's happening here. And we're hopeful and prayerful that this will change hearts and minds. So again, Bill, thanks so much for being a part of this. I look forward to the next episodes with you.
Roland, it's always an honor. If people have any questions or comments, they can always address them directly to me through our website, which is prolifedoc.org. God bless you and all those who are involved in CareNet, and may we all engage in this battle, defend the image of God in the womb, and encourage our pastors to preach this from the pulpits.
Amen, amen. So everyone out there, again, thank you for watching this episode of The Doctors In. And until next time, may God bless you daily as you serve Him faithfully in all you do.